All right, welcome back to Behind the Basket, your go-to Thursday evening NBA sports talk show. We'd like to start off today with just a statement from the Game Changer Sports Network. We know that there's a lot going on right now in the United States of America that has led to many of the major sports teams boycotting their recent games due to some of the societal issues that are being faced. And although it is a matter of public news, we here at the Game Changer Sports Network pride ourselves in staying factual, unpolitical, and unbiased at all times, especially during these times. So we hope that tonight we can serve as a release from everything that's going on. We do not mean to downplay everything that's going on. We just want to be able to talk sports, talk basketball, and to be able to have a good time tonight. So with that being said, going to open off the show with a question that we're going to address at the end of the show. Kobe Bryant's birthday was on the 23rd, and then as we know, Kobe Day, 8/24, represents the two numbers he wore during his amazing Los Angeles career. I'm actually wearing my Lakers Kobe shirt today. What's your favorite Kobe moment? So go ahead and comment wherever you are watching from. We hope to gather some favorite Kobe moments that we can talk about at the end of today's show to remember one of the great NBA basketball players whose life was tragically lost in that helicopter crash at the beginning of the year. And that's enough talking about not happy things. Let's get down to NBA basketball. And we would like to start off, I would like to start off anyway. We've got some fun stuff about our boy Luka Doncic today, don't we?
So fun facts. There's one thing that I think is cool is that he was 7 months old when he picked up his first basketball. And I guess you can kind of tell because he is his goal when he got into the league was to get Rookie of the Year his first season. And then what was the and make All-Stars the next season. And he has done both of those.
Yes,
so those are two pretty cool facts. He is also a huge fan of the show Friends, and he is someone who believes that Ross and Rachel were in fact on a break.
Very fun fact about Luka.
Yeah, he LeBron is his favorite player, and LeBron called him a bad man. So I think that that's pretty cool. I don't know what I would do if my favorite player even knew who I was. So,
right.
You have any cool facts?
Well, I've got some stuff about him, but we really want to recognize that amazing game winner he had against the Los Angeles Clippers. That series has been very competitive, which is not normal. It's not particularly normal, I would say, for a second seed versus seventh seed series. So Luka's definitely showing that he's the man, that he's come here to play. Just some of his accolades are what I've got here. So as you mentioned, he was a first-time All-Star this year, and he was Rookie of the Year. He was also Rookie First Team. And then he got his first claim to fame in the EuroLeague, which is one of the biggest leagues in Europe. He was the EuroLeague MVP in 2018 and the EuroLeague champion. His team won a championship that year. EuroLeague First Team. He was a two-time EuroLeague Rising Star. Let's see, he's got three-time Liga ACB champion. I don't know where that is, but he's got a ton of accolades there. All Liga ACB first team, best young player, Spanish Kings Cup winner 2 times, Sports Illustrated Breakout of the Year in 2019. So he already has such a stacked resume, and he's only 21. And he was absolutely demolishing the competition in the game of basketball even before he was drafted into the NBA, which is just remarkable.
Which is another cool, just interesting, was that he was traded when he initially got drafted. He was traded for Trae Young, which both are great players, but in my opinion, Dallas made the right move. But also, it's just in his blood. His dad actually played basketball too in the Euro League. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. And one thing that it's a quote of his that I've always thought was just incredible. He said that it's easier to score in the NBA than it is in the EuroLeague. And I think that speaks volumes both to him as a player and also just the level of international basketball. Back in the day, the United States was the undisputed powerhouse of basketball, and the rest of the world is catching up. They're giving us a run for our money. And, we've seen a lot of recent success on the world stage from the team from Spain. You've got a lot of other Europeans that are taking the spotlight in the NBA. We talked about Giannis, Rudy Gobert. So it's just so fun to see someone from a different walk of life be able to play the same game, but do it with such pizzazz.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what all he does. He's one of my favorite players, and he's just becoming more so with every game. I swear, what did he get? What was his stat line the other day? I want to say it was like 42 points, 13 rebounds, and maybe 7 assists. I'm not sure. It was a crazy stat line. He's just crazy talented.
He does that so regularly, leading the league in triple doubles. There was a really good stat about just this is his first playoffs. The buzzer beater was a work of art. Absolutely. Beautiful. I don't care what Skip Bayless says. I think he was downplaying. It was a lucky shot. It was beautiful basketball, him being able to get that shot off. Oh, but he's breaking some records. I can't remember exactly what they are. I'd have to look at it. It was like, it might have been back-to-back 30-point triple doubles or something in his first playoffs, and he's setting scoring records, and it's amazing. And I want to know what was going through Atlanta's mind. Making that draft day trade. I love Trae Young. I've always believed in Trae Young, and he's a great player. But I will admit, Luka is better, so I kind of want to know why they even made that trade in the first place.
Yeah. Well, and Trae Young definitely has room to grow and everything, but I love watching him play too, especially because he has such a he doesn't have as much talent on his team, as the Mavericks do.
Absolutely.
So it's cool to see those nights when he just starts going off, like making points like James Harden and stuff. It's cool to watch him. I like him. Let's see. So I guess we should get into playoffs.
Most points scored by a player in his playoff debut, 42 in game one. That's definitely one of the records that I was thinking of.
Yeah. That 42 was, I think, the same night that he had the 13 rebounds. And it's just a crazy
He does it all. Does everything.
So, actually, I'm seeing that the guys in the bubble, I think their family was finally able to arrive.
Have they?
Yeah, so like right now, Damian Lillard's spending time with his son for the first time since it all started. I think that's pretty cool. I know that they had like a lot of rules about who could come. You couldn't have somebody that you were just friends with over social media. So any of the guys who just had Instagram friends, they weren't allowed to come. But like your families, I think that's got to be an awesome. It's got to be uplifting for the guys because I can't imagine being away from my family that long. And it's only been since early July when they got there?
Give or take. The report is that Damian Lillard left the bubble to go look at some light injuries that he sustained. But they are still, there's things going on right now.
Right? Okay. Well, my bad, guys.
Well, I do think that because the original plan, I think, was after the first round ended, they were going to start bringing family back.
Oh, okay.
And some series, let's see, is the Heat and it's the Celtics and Raptors. Their series is officially over. So we're kind of getting to that point where I do think they're going to try to bring family in. I think the players really need it. I think they deserve it. And I'm also interested to see how the play changes. I mean, we've seen some incredible performances already. We've seen the competitive drive that these guys bring to the court every night. But having some family members in attendance, I really wonder if that's just going to bring some of these players to the next level.
Yeah, have their family there cheering them on, their kids and everything. Did you see when it was, I think Kyle Lowry's kids introduced him? It was the cutest thing. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. Two of my favorite parts of the bubble is I don't know how many teams have done it. I know the Phoenix Suns did and the Toronto Raptors did. They had their family record intros, their player intros. So it's like Kyle Lowry's kids saying, I think he's number 7, Kyle Lowry. And it's just so cute, and the players love it. And then the other thing that I've loved is who they've been giving preference to for the virtual fans. So I remember watching a Thunder game, and Chris Paul's wife and his son were able to be on the virtual board. And I'm really glad that the NBA is letting their families get first in line to watch those games, because they're the ones closest to those players.
Yeah, and it's important being
hey, Carter.
You got some fans.
Yeah, thank you, friends.
Okay, all right, so I have to ask, Hunter, what is with this cult following that has officially gone through every single show?
I've got a lot of there's been some friends of mine who on the other shows during the week, they've been commenting that they're the Hunter Miney fan club and that they want me to be on every show.
It's the Hunter Miney gang. Let's get that right. They've named themselves. It's been hashtagged on every single show. I want answers as to why this is happening.
So you're gonna have to ask them, because I didn't organize this. I didn't organize this. This is their own will.
An organic cult following.
Yeah, this is just. I guess I'm just charismatic.
Well, that's awesome.
All right, Blake. We're gonna tell Blake a firm no on that one, and we're gonna get to the stat I was thinking of. I believe this is it. Luka Doncic in his first 2 games scored 70 points, which beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 69 as record for most points scored in his first 2 playoff games. That's how it was first reported, and I think I actually mentioned this last week, that the actual record belongs to George Mikan. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, in like 1949 or something like that, which is like the 3rd year of the NBA or something. But George Mikan's a legend. You should look him up. He's kind of the original NBA superstar. A lot of the rules are because of him. I guess I'll just go into it, because I love George Mikan. So
I don't know this.
So he's one of the most dominant players in NBA history. Of course, at the time, people were still learning the game of basketball. They don't have all the tools that they have now. And then, you've got players that come and revolutionize the game. So it's continually evolving. But they made rules like they had to change how the paint was laid out to try to make him less of a dominant player, because he was just mowing everybody over. And they put in all these rule changes basically to try to calm George Mikan down. And he was the first player to record a 3-peat, to win 3 championships in a row. Most people know the Boston Celtics with Bill Russell for doing that, 8-9 times in a row. But Mikan did it first, 3 in a row with the Minneapolis Lakers before they moved to Los Angeles.
I feel like we should make this a segment too. Fun history.
All right, I'll bring it. I'll put it upon myself to do some George Mikan research for next week, so I can go a little bit more in depth on the rules and his stats and records and stuff, because it is a really cool. I don't think his jersey's retired either, because they were the Minneapolis Lakers and now they're the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm a big advocate that I think they should retire his jersey, because I don't think the Minneapolis Lakers are coming back.
Yeah, that's really cool. Fun facts.
Yeah, we've got players to score 40 points in a playoff game and win it with a buzzer beater. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, his very memorable shot from last season, Damian Lillard, again from last season, and then this season, Luka Doncic. That's another one of the records he's putting up.
He's just, insane. I can't believe he's so young and playing on the level of the superstars in the league. He's up there with them. Okay. What do you think about the Mavs against the Clips then? Like right now, how it stands, I think the Clips are up 1. Is that right? Where's my?
I think they're up 3-2.
Yeah.
Right? 3-2?
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on if they get Kristaps Porzingis back. He is clearly their second best player. He gives them a lot of size. He can stretch the floor. He's not an incredible rebounder, but ever since the bubble, he's been doing better at doing that. And without him, Dallas is definitely at a disadvantage. The buzzer beater from Luka was a game without Porzingis, but the next game was a loss where the Clippers scored 150 points on them and won by like 20 or 30. So, you know, it's going to be very hard for the Mavericks. And also, Clippers only need to win one more game to clinch the series.
Right.
Without Porzingis, it's going to be a very difficult time. I don't remember what his timetable is. I give them a chance to push it to 7 with Porzingis. If he doesn't come back, I think Clippers are going to take this 6th game.
What did you think of Marcus Morris stepping on his ankle? Do you think that's intentional?
I didn't see it live. It looked like it, though. I can't.
I saw 2 different angles. And so, like, when it happened, I was like, oh, it's nothing. But then when they showed it from a different angle, I mean, it looked like he was walking towards his ankle to step on it. And I don't like, you know, I always hope that that's not what's happening, you know, just because you hate to see people hurt at all.
Right.
But I'm trying to see. I think Porzingis might be coming back soon.
I hope so. It'll be a much more fun game if Porzingis back. As far as Marcus Morris goes, I certainly hope it wasn't intentional, but at this point it's kind of a he said, she said. We can all look at the video and we can say, oh, he did it on purpose. He's going to say he didn't. He already did say that it wasn't intentional. You can go into, oh, when you step on someone, your instinct is to pull your foot back up, and he didn't do that. He looked like he was stepping down. Either way, I think Luka's fine, and I think that's what matters the most. And I hope that he continues to be fine throughout the rest of this playoffs, however many more games he's got to play.
Well, both the teams, I mean, there's been a couple little squabbles on the floor, usually around Luka. Like, there was the Montrezl Harrell and him, and, you know, they apologized to each other and everything, and they're cool now. But he yelled at him, "Stop flopping, man," and Harrell had his own response. And then the one where Porzingis got ejected in the first game, right? I mean, they're getting a little mean on the court, but it's showing that he probably won't be back for game 6. They're not sure about 7. So it's really going to depend, I guess, on Luka's performance.
It really will be. And I mean, it took everything Luka had to barely win that game at the buzzer without Porzingis. So it's definitely possible. Props to some of his teammates. Seth Curry has been shooting out of his mind. He has been the Steph Curry of these playoffs. Maybe not with
Steph was watching the game.
Yeah, and both his parents.
Yeah.
Love to see the family. But yeah, Dallas has a very good, still growing team. So even if they don't take this big upset over the Clippers, next year they're going to be a very dangerous team now that Luka's got some NBA playoff experience, Porzingis as well. So I am going to predict that they're going to be challenging the top of the West next season.
Yeah, and you know, initially I wanted the Clippers to win, but I love an underdog, and I think that the Mavericks, man, they're really showing heart, and I kind of want them to win this round. But I do think it's going to go to 7 games. I think that they're going to pull it off next game, and which we don't know when that's scheduled for yet. The game should be resuming Saturday, right?
Potentially.
Hopefully. And so Dallas wasn't scheduled for Thursday, though, were they?
I don't think they were. I'm pretty sure on Thursday there were clinching games. So I think it was Lakers Portland was playing, Bucks Orlando. I can't remember who the middle team was.
Our game.
Oh, it was Houston.
The Rockets and the Thunder.
Houston and the Thunder, which is that's been a good series. So last time we OKC has been playing better every single game of this series, but I don't think that means their momentum is going to just keep rolling more and more. Houston is still a big threat. The difference now is that it's tied up. And with this kind of extended break where there's not going to be a game until maybe Saturday or Sunday for them, depending on how they restructure the schedule, both these coaches are going to be going at it to figure out what they got to do to replicate their 2 wins.
Well, on top of that, I don't know if you saw the video where Russell Westbrook and CP3 talked with each other before they, announced that they were going to also boycott the game and everything. Mm-hmm. While they were talking, Russell Westbrook was in uniform. And afterwards, he went and changed back into regular clothes. He has not been in uniform for any other game. He was supposed to be a game time decision that day. So 3 extra days added to that. I think that we're going to have Westbrook back. I think that's going to change everything.
I think it really will. And there's a lot of Westbrook naysayers out there because he's got some questionable shot decisions where he kind of rushes some plays and he can be a little too hasty. But he has been just an all-star caliber player for so many years. And in the latter half of the season, he was doing incredibly. He was cutting down on his threes. He was making smarter passes. And I think the reason that OKC has been able to win these last 2 games is because they've been able to shut down Harden to a degree. You can't completely shut down Harden.
Yeah, he's still making the crazy points, but
it's impossible to completely lock him down.
And that's what's his name? Dort? Is that his?
That's the guy, Lou Dort.
He has Harden's number. Whatever he's doing is making it a lot harder for him to shoot. But like the last game, I think he had 5 fouls at the very last part of it. And that game just, you saw my reaction. I was so annoyed with that game. I was not happy. But, at the same time, Harden, I think, is figuring out how to get him to foul. So that with Russell Westbrook back, I'm hoping it goes to 6 games. I don't want to watch 7 games of this. I want 6 games. And I want them to win the next 2. But I honestly don't know. The Thunder's been playing great.
They have been. And I just want to give a shout out to Lou Dort. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. He's not a guy that you're going to see, a top name because he struggles on the offensive end still. He's still looking for his shot. He's mostly there for defense. And the reason he is even on the team, he actually went undrafted and was part of the Thunder's G League team. We were starting Terrence Ferguson, I believe, at the time, and he got either injured or he was in a custody dispute or something. Some family stuff that I believe that he got straightened out, which I'm very happy for. And they called up Lou Dort, and he started the last 22 or so games of the season because his defense is just phenomenal. So it's not just Harden's number he's got. He's just been able to lock down so many guys. And the reason I think he's been the best Harden counter, Harden is unbelievably strong. And I don't think people realize exactly just how strong he is and how he's able to manipulate the defender's body with pushes, with drives. But Dort is that exact same kind of bulkier build where he's able to match Harden. Whereas a guy like Terrence Ferguson, he's fast and he's got those long arms, but he's, kind of a skinnier dude, and Harden can just push him away.
Right. Well, it's crazy how many gyms they find in the G League. Actually, Daniel House from the Rockets, he was on our G League initially. And, he's become one of our better scorers. He gets a few blocks in every now and then. I mean, I like to see, he never starts. I think that earlier in the bubble, D'Antoni said that he wasn't going to start him just because the other starters were just better players. But then, Russell Westbrook got hurt and they started bringing in House, and he's done a great job starting. I don't know if he started the last game or not, but he really has just been proving his worth. And
I do really like House. I think he's a great player.
You know who else I like is Jeff Green. He has been such a huge part of the Rockets team since the bubble. I mean, they picked him up right before. I think he maybe got to play 1 game before everything shut down for COVID and everything.
Mhm.
And he's a veteran and everything. And he just something about his shots are so much more calm and premeditated, almost like it's not the younger players on the team, they rush their shots a lot, and so they
Right.
get in their position and they jump and they shoot, and a lot of times they don't make those shots. But Jeff Green, just anywhere he's at, it's just such a calmer. I don't even really know how to explain. I love watching him play. You can tell that he's a veteran, and he's just been huge to the Rockets this whole time in the bubble for sure. It's probably my favorite pickup this year.
It was a very good one. I believe it was Boston where he was kind of starting to really gain his ground in the league, and I really loved him there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the G League is such a genius thing. I really believe in developmental leagues, getting those players kind of the experience, getting the playing time, and talking about players that came up from there. Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet of the Toronto Raptors, they
Really?
won a G League title together for the
I didn't know that.
Toronto's G League team, and then together won an NBA title together. I don't know if there's a statistic on how many people have won a G League title and an NBA title,
Mm-hmm.
but it's cool. There's a lot more players coming from the G League, and
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely, starting to battle the college scene. G
Mm-hmm.
League's trying to get some of the top recruits there. And I don't think it's a bad idea because, as we can see with some of these players, they're doing a great job. It's a great way to get your foot in the door.
You know who the Rockets, they got rid of Hardenstein, Isaiah Hardenstein, and he was our backup center, and he's, G League. But last year they won the G League title, and he was named G League MVP.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I
he
did not know
was
that.
scoring like crazy. He was just going off. So I mean, hopefully this commitment to small ball was worth it, because I'd love to see him get to a NBA team. He really just went off in the G League last season and even the season before that, but I don't think he got MVP the season before. I think it was just last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that, but he's a really great player. So I hope somebody picks him up.
I agree. I did like Hartenstein when I saw him coming up, and you got to commit fully to small ball, I guess. We've got some confirmation that Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam were, in fact, the first double champions, and Siakam was also the first G League turned NBA All-Star. And I expect that to be a continuing trend.
That's awesome.
Partially because of the level of talent that they're getting in the G League now, because it's kind of become more popular. And I just think they're doing a really good job of developing players in there. We can really, really see it.
Okay. So Lakers, Portland. What do you think?
This will be brief. Lakers are going to win. I really wanted Portland to pull it off, but the Lakers have been coming alive, and they've definitely looked more like regular season pre-Orlando Lakers, which is very scary for the league because I think everyone kind of got some motivation seeing the Lakers be the worst offensive team in Orlando.
You think maybe they were just taking it easy in the bubble because they were first?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but they're such good players that I don't think their numbers would still be that poorly. I think just for some reason they had a hard time getting it together, but they've definitely flipped a switch. Mm-hmm. And Portland is doing the opposite, where they're kind of, falling apart, especially with the injuries to Damian Lillard. Portland without Lillard doesn't beat anybody.
He hurt his finger at one point, but was there a different injury?
I think there was an ankle injury as well.
Oh.
Which is, I think, why he got sent back home to get that looked at. Okay. And I think that's kind of Portland throwing in the towel. They're down 3-1 right now. Mm-hmm. An injured Damian Lillard is not going to be enough for that Portland team to become the next Cinderella story, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, he really was their leader. And Carmelo Anthony talked about that, about how out of all the teams he's played with, Damian Lillard has been the best leader, which might have been like little slug at James Harden. I don't know. But
Carmelo spent like 2 weeks in Houston, so he
Yeah,
didn't get to see a whole lot. We'll put it at
yeah.
that.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. Lakers, I think that they'll probably get it in the next game.
I agree.
I was very
James Harden's not a leader from Jake.
Jake. You know, I just don't have time for the Harden haters. He's absolutely a leader. He led the team. He repeated.
He put it up again. Well, one thing's for sure, Damian Lillard is a very good leader.
Mm-hmm.
He balled out this season. So even if it ends up losing to the number one team in the West, I don't think he has anything to be ashamed of. I think he put together a very good season.
31 points, might have just been 30, maybe it was 30.1 points all season. So that is decent.
That's very good. Very few people can crack 30 points in a season, and he did it.
Yep. Okay. We haven't talked about Denver and Utah yet.
This is my favorite series right now. This one is so good. And I got some stats ready because these two young guys are just going at it. Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. So Jamal Murray is, let's see, I don't think this is his, okay, so this is his fourth season, but only his second time making the playoffs. This is Donovan Mitchell's third season, third playoffs. So these are still very young guys, 22 and 23 years old. And Jamal Murray's averaging 30.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 6.8 assists, shooting 55% from the field, 52% from three, and 100% from the free throw line for this series. Donovan Mitchell is averaging this is 37.6 points, which leads the entire league for the playoffs right now, with 4 rebounds and 5.6 assists.
Oh, go ahead. Say it again.
No, just he's leading the postseason in points, and I think he was leading the league in three-pointers. Yes, here it is. 3-pointers made and field goals made for the entire playoffs, which of all the people, Donovan Mitchell was not the guy I was expecting.
No. I mean, I thought he was a good player going into it, and I like watching him in playoffs. You know, I told you I went to that Rockets Jazz first round last year, and I like to watch him play, but I wasn't expecting this. And definitely what brought that average up was that first 57-point game.
Yeah.
Just crazy. So, okay. Murray had a 42-point night. Is that right?
Something like that. I think his first game was a little slower, but then he's picked up. And these two guys are the first people in NBA history to score 50 points in the same game against each other in the playoffs.
Wow.
There's been a lot of big names in the playoffs. Nobody has ever dropped 50 points from opposing teams, and these two guys did it at 22 and 23 years old.
That's crazy. This thing have all the room that they have to grow, to do more.
Absolutely.
So then who do you see winning the series? It's 3-2 right now.
Is Utah up?
No.
Denver's up.
Denver's up. Yeah.
Denver's up. Wow. I thought Utah was up for some reason. Probably because Donovan Mitchell. What happened to Jokic? So I think he's actually doing okay. Let's take a look at some Nikola Jokic numbers. Because Nikola Jokic, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best player on Denver's team.
I wrote it down wrong. You're right. Utah's winning 3.
Utah is winning.
Yes, I wrote
it
wrong.
Okay. I honestly wouldn't be surprised either way. All right, Nikola Jokic right now, he's averaging 26.4 points, which actually is a lot more than I thought he was in these 5 games. Only 7.8 rebounds and 5 assists, which are pretty low for Jokic, considering he's a triple-double threat. But he appears to be doing well. He's shooting great. Let's take a look at some other stuff. His defense hasn't been fantastic, but he's definitely an offensive anchor for Denver. So he's playing really well, and that's the reason why Denver was a favorite and part of why I thought they were going to sweep, and I am so wrong, and I'm loving it. Jokic and Murray are both very good, and on Utah's side, their second best offensive player, Bogdanovich, is out. He's not there.
Oh.
It's Gobert is their second best player right now on offense. Maybe Conley, but he's had his off days.
But he's
Rudy
back.
Gobert. Conley is back.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been playing like the Conley of old in Memphis, where he's been shooting pretty badly. So Utah's got a very good defense with Rudy Gobert, but I was afraid about what their offense would do. Donovan Mitchell decided to just be the entire offense. So when you're up 3-2, I just have to give the edge to Utah. But I can see this game going to 7 again because Jokic and Murray are so good as a duo on the offensive end.
I think I remember that on that game where he scored 57 points, I want to say it was literally half the points of the entire team that night.
How's it going?
Yeah, it was.
You got a fan club there too?
Yeah, there's people visiting.
You and your fan club.
I know, right? I don't remember exactly, but the numbers he's putting up are ridiculous. And it's interesting to see because maybe we're getting a sneak peek at what's going to happen next season. You know, maybe Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray are going to make some sort of MVP run. And maybe that's super far-fetched because this is such a small sample of games. But I'm really excited for what the future holds because there's so many people who are just making an impact and really showing that they've got it.
Yeah. So out of those teams, they would go on to play the Clippers or Mavs, right?
Yes, that's correct. And then whoever wins between the Thunder and Rockets are going to play the Lakers.
The Lakers.
It's going to be the Lakers. We're just going to say it. In the same breath, going to the Eastern Conference, Bucks are going to beat Orlando.
Yes.
There's no reason they don't. That first game, I don't want to say it was a fluke because in the NBA, anybody can beat anybody. So I'm sure Orlando really earned that game and they deserve props, but they're not going to win another one.
Right. And so they will go on. The Bucks will go on to play the Heat.
Right? Yes. Which have they beaten the Pacers officially or is it 3-0?
I thought that they beat them officially, but let me double check.
They might have.
I'm gonna be honest that the interruption of games kind of threw me off my game.
Exactly. That's the same for me.
I was not as prepared for today as I normally am. Let's see. I can't even find them on here.
I'm also a little sad that Bubble TJ Warren hasn't been a factor in the Heat series. I thought it would be a little close. Giannis MVP, is that official or is that what we think?
I would definitely like to know who posted that. We have a big team of like 30 people at this point. It's going to be Gavin. He posted from the Circus Monkey Sports right after.
Of course it's Gavin.
Okay, I agree. I do think Giannis is MVP. I know you're going to preach hard and every day, but it is Giannis, and it's not close. It should not be close.
The most valuable player. As in the team could not work without that player.
I mean, but he is just head and shoulders above everybody right now. His defensive numbers, there was a stat, and I'm going to give a kind of rough stat because it's a percentage.
Again. Do you see this? Y'all are taunting me right now.
No, Jake's pushing your buttons.
I need some Rockets fans here.
When Giannis is the closest defender to a shot, the people that are closest to him shooting, he has held them to 36% shooting when he is the closest defender. And that's 42% at the rim, which is a very high percentage shot, where like the league average is like 50 something. So he's been incredible defensively, and he's also been incredible offensively. He's putting up prime Kareem numbers, which if you don't know how good Kareem was, anyone watching, look him up. I cannot even believe why it would not be Giannis. It has to be.
I think that LeBron is going to win it. I don't think that LeBron should win it. Milwaukee isn't even relevant without him. Harden, number 3 in the MVP race.
Well,
Gavin.
I would agree. Harden could make a number 3 case with LeBron being 2. LeBron has had a very good season, but I am of the philosophy that if you are playing with another top 10 player, that really hurts your odds. So,
I like that
LeBron
argument.
playing with AD, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I like that argument better. If y'all said James Harden can't win because he's playing with Russell Westbrook, I'd like that better than y'all just declaring.
I think it has to do with it. I think that's part of why Steph Curry and Kevin Durant didn't really get a lot of MVP consideration when they were on the same team. And that's why I don't think LeBron should win it, because I'm not going to disagree if you say he's the most important player for the Lakers. I'm not going to disagree if you say he's the best player for the Lakers, but he's playing with Anthony Davis, who is a top 10, possibly top 5, depending on who you are, player in the league. So I don't think he can be the most valuable player. Whereas Giannis, I would disagree that the Milwaukee Bucks would be nothing without them, because they have a pretty decent,
because they're the first team in the East.
They're a good team. I don't think they'd be at the top. I think they'd be a little better than Orlando and the Nets. But
what were you telling me about Giannis's minutes?
We thought the Raptors would be nothing without Leonard. Ooh, now that's a good one. Giannis is averaging like as many minutes as he has points, something ridiculous as that.
Right, but they're not a lot of minutes, right? They don't play him full.
Oh, I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
Because James Harden is doing like 30-something minutes a night, because they can't take him off the court, because if they do, the team stops scoring, with the exception of that one crazy Austin Rivers night. They'll have a 13-point lead, as you saw in that game with Oklahoma. They have a 13-point lead. They take James Harden off, and all of a sudden, Thunder is up by like 2 points in like a few minute span. So that's just, I don't know. That's my argument, is that if you can remove.
Ooh, you're not going to like the stats that I just saw then. Ooh.
What's your stat?
Giannis and I don't even know how to say his last name still. 32.5 minutes per game. James Harden, 36.5.
Well, blah. I was going off what Hunter told me.
Yeah, I thought his minutes were a little lower. But still, the numbers he's putting up, and then something we mentioned last week, he broke the single-season player efficiency rating record set by Wilt Chamberlain, the record book himself. That's got some narrative to it in my mind, as I think we kind of share some mutual appreciation for Russell Westbrook at this point. The part of the reason, I wouldn't say the only reason, but a very big part of why he won MVP. Imagine the numbers Giannis would put up if he played Harden's minutes. It's only 4 minutes, but but Westbrook averaged a triple-double for the first time, and only the second player to do so since Oscar Robinson. So that had that narrative to it. I think Giannis has broken enough records with his play for that narrative. Going back to something that Jake put up there, a lot of people played off the Toronto Raptors when Kawhi Leonard left. What do you think about Toronto right now?
I just wanted to say that I thought you were going to say what Jake has been putting over and over.
Oh, he's not a leader. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Raptors without Kawhi, I think everybody expected them to just, probably still make playoffs, but probably be around Orlando. I don't think anybody was expecting them to not only hold their seeding as what they had last year, but improve their team. They improved their defense, their offense. and they are about to play Boston, who I like watching Boston too. I think that the Raptors are going to win it, but is it going to be close? I think it absolutely can be. The Celtics, I think that they're such a fun team to watch. And oh, I'm sorry. I thought they put something on the screen. I think they're a fun team to watch. And I think that they've got all of the right pieces to be a championship team. But I just think that there are better teams, if that makes any sense.
Yes. So to touch on what Jake was saying, the Toronto Raptors were on pace to have a better win-loss percentage than when they had Kawhi Leonard. Granted, Leonard didn't play a lot of games, but they won a lot of those games he didn't play. So you got to remember, this is a very good team that had Leonard added to it. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have one of the best defensive coaches in the league, and Nick Nurse, who just won the Coach of the Year,
Yes.
which I think was very well deserved because of that narrative of, oh, Kawhi left Toronto, now what are they going to do? Their defense is amazing, and they are a very deep team in that they have a lot of weapons, a lot of people that they can throw at you, either offensively or defensively. Siakam is kind of their, he's their leading scorer, but Van Vliet and Lowry run the offense, so you can't stop all three of those guys. Serge Ibaka has been an amazing piece for them. Marc Gasol on the defensive end. And then, as good as they are in their second best record, possibly in the league, I know it's in the Eastern Conference, they might have a better record than the Lakers. Celtics are very good, and they are looking very good. And I think I saw one of the, they've got those sports betting sites that said that based on current play, that the Boston Celtics are playing like they are going to win the championship based on whatever criteria that they use. I didn't look into it. Part of it's who they're playing against, what the series is looking like. But
right.
Celtics are very good. And I think Hayward might be out, which might hurt them.
Yeah, I hope the only way he'd make it back is if they make it to finals, which.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. He's out for like a month.
Yeah. And that's definitely a huge loss, but they have so many good players.
Yeah, I agree. And even without Hayward, they've got enough, because you know very well watching playoff games that it's very starter centric. They play I think the Rockets have been playing an 8-man rotation against the Thunder, for example, where you got your 5 starters playing 30, 35 minutes each, and then you've got 3 bench players kind of coming in to relieve them.
And that, D'Antoni always does that. It's always an 8 or 9-man rotation, always. And I don't understand the benefits of that, I guess. When you have so many other players on your team, like we have Tyson Chandler, who could be playing center, but we don't.
I think it would depend. If you're a top-heavy team, I consider Houston top-heavy, where you've got Harden, Westbrook, the rest in terms of talent level. So you want your best players to be playing the most minutes. I haven't looked at the rotations for Toronto and the Celtics, or maybe since they're a little deeper, maybe they're having kind of more of a rotation, which is why even though Hayward is out and he's a very good player, very key part of their rotation, I still wouldn't immediately throw them out against the Raptors because of that.
Yeah. About the Raptors, I always I think that it's cool because they're one of the only teams that didn't get the duo. The whole narrative over the off season was that the Bucks, no, not the Bucks, the Lakers were going to have LeBron and Davis. Rockets were going to have Westbrook and Harden. Clippers, Kawhi and Beverly. All these different teams were having these power duos, and the Raptors don't have that. They have good players in each position. They don't have any major stars or anything like that. Gordon Hayward is the 5th best player.
You need 5 people on the court, Jake.
Come on.
That 5th best player he can be a difference maker. Another thing on the Celtics is that Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are the only 3 teammates all averaging over 20 points a game. And I think Hayward was around, and those numbers might be different now because of the bubble and how that kind of made some stats weird. And I think Hayward was at like 17. So they're just really, spread out. How long is Lowry out for? I actually forgot that he was out.
I didn't know he was out. I told you I've been off of my game this week.
Yeah, I think I briefly remember it, but I don't think I was too concerned because Toronto's definitely handling their series against the Nets well, so they don't need Lowry right now, but they will definitely need him against the Celtics for sure because he is their leader. He gives me Chris Paul vibes in that he can run an offense. He's a scrappy defender. He makes good plays. It looks like he's a game-to-game decision, so should hopefully, with this extra break, be back for the Celtics.
I sure hope so. I want these teams to be fully healthy.
We always do.
When a player goes out and everything, because then the team that loses to them or whatever, they're like, well, we didn't have a fully healthy team. We just like when the Rockets lost. When Chris Paul got injured, in my mind, we won that game. I mean, that was our championship year. I hate to see that.
You always do. All right, we've got 8 minutes left. 8 being the Kobe number. So we are going to, if there's any comments about your favorite Kobe moment, I'll start. It's an interesting Kobe moment for me. I believe it was the 2013 All-Star game. I didn't start watching the NBA strictly throughout the season until 2011, 2012. So right at the peak of LeBron. But I had known about Kobe and I watched some Kobe games growing up, and I was like, oh man, Kobe's so great. And I didn't know a whole lot about LeBron at the time. And so I just wanted to root for Kobe, even though I know he was kind of past his prime and whatever. And then Kobe ended up blocking LeBron James twice in the closing minutes of this All-Star game to seal the win. And I thought that was just so cool to see how hard he played in an All-Star game, especially when nowadays the All-Star game is kind of known as a joke where it's just no difference.
Great.
Yeah. So that's my personal favorite Kobe moment.
I think mine would just be the 81-point game. I didn't personally start watching heavily watching basketball till probably like 5 years ago. I grew up like mostly watching WNBA games. My mom would take me to those and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't watch that much. And then I think really my delve into Kobe was actually after his death, because everybody's just was so touched by him, so I went and I was like watching all of his different highlights and everything, and that was the one that stuck out to me because it's an 81-point game. It was amazing. That was, what was it, 2006 against the Raptors, I think. But I would have to say that would be mine. I don't know the little known moments that I'm sure other people have. Do we get any comments on it?
Yeah, let's see. Honestly, favorite Kobe moment was when he shot those air balls early in his career in the playoffs. No matter what, he never lost his confidence. So basically that just, he had those, and, there's Kobe jokes about how all he does is shoot, but, he was one of the most clutch players out there. He wasn't going to let that get in his way.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite Kobe moment, lob pass to Shaq to win another championship. Have you seen that? The little clip, throws it up and Shaq dunks it and he kind of makes this face. It was just such an amazing play. So yeah, I agree. That's one of my favorite sports clips to watch. We'll have to watch it later. It's such a fun one. 4 50-point games straight.
Wow.
How about that? How many players do you know that can do that?
Not many.
We might see some. We might see some Luka Doncic, Trae Young stuff going on soon, but
Donovan
that's a
Mitchell,
very
Murray.
You never know, but that's an incredible feat to be able to do that. And I think that might have been part of his like highest point per game month in his NBA history, something wild like that, where there was just one month where he just went off. And I think that this is the month. Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher on the same team. I think Derek Fisher isn't talked about enough when it comes to playoff performers. He was a very key part of those Los Angeles Lakers playoff teams. And he was in Oklahoma City for a little bit, and it was at the very end of his career, but he's such a fun guy to watch. He's a very smart basketball player, good shooter. I loved watching Derek Fisher.
Oh, that's awesome.
Favorite coach, not a flashy one, but I got to see him in person 2 rows off the court. Magical to watch in person. Well, no one's going to have that chance again. So that's a super cool moment. I wish I could have, that's just such a unique experience. Not a lot of people are able to say that they had something like that.
My dad told me a story that my dad traveled a lot for work when I was younger, and he was in Vegas, and he ran into Kobe there, and he asked for a picture. Kobe was working out, and he asked for a picture, and Kobe said, "When I'm done, like working out." And then my dad had to leave and everything, so he missed it. But that was insane.
Well, that's that Mamba mentality. He was getting his workout done, and no one was going to stop him. I'm sure Kobe would have taken the picture after too, but you got to admire that hard work ethic. Do we got any more comments? My lasting image of Kobe Bryant is when he tore his Achilles, got up, dusted himself off, and drilled 2 clutch free throws to give the Lakers a win. That's something only Kobe Bryant could do. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Klay Thompson did something similar, but you can always say Kobe did it first. That Mamba mentality. I don't think I could do that. I could try. I'd probably miss the free throws at the very least. Kobe Olympic Games were good. Olympic Games with Kobe and Carmelo Anthony. If we ever get to talking about the Olympics, Carmelo Anthony is one of the best Olympic basketball players of all time. So that's more fun stuff. Being an awesome dad. I think that's kind of been the trend that's been coming up with Kobe's death is the hashtag girl dad, and just how much he loved his girls, how much he did for them.
It's very sad.
And is that the last one, or did we have any other ones? I think he flashed it. I think that was the last one. So yeah, we just wanted to pay a quick little tribute to Kobe. He was a great player. Love him or hate him, he definitely added a lot to the game. 5-time NBA champion, 18-time All-Star, MVP. He just did it all. And you just got to give him props for an amazing career.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's see. I think that we touched on just about everything.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I had here, there's still some teams that need coaches.
Yeah.
The last firing was Brett Brown of the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know if you have any quick coaching thoughts before we wrap it up.
Well, I know the Pelicans' old coach is going to be looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the only 2 that have been fired since the bubble, though, right? Is Pelicans and 76ers.
I don't know when, because there's them, and then Chicago fired Boylan. Jim Boylan, I think is his first name. I don't know if that was before or after the bubble, though, but I think those are the only 3 teams that currently don't have a coach.
Indiana? Nate McMillan?
Oh, that was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had just gotten a 1-year extension, and they fired him literally yesterday.
Oh, I forgot about that. We're all sorts of confused because of all the stuff going on. But yeah, Nate McMillan, which is another. I think I saw he had a 3-16 playoff record with the Indiana Pacers. Part of that you can say it's because they always ran into LeBron, but part of it's kind of. I guess we got to change some things.
So do you think that any of them will go to like other teams, like, kind of switch around like a carousel?
Maybe that. I mean, in the top level of professional sports, that's usually what happens because you like the guy who has any experience. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of these teams, because a lot of these, they've got some young players. Nate McMillan, he would be the guy I think would be at the top of getting another job of all the guys who just got fired. But there's some other coaches that I think deserve a chance. And with these young players, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, okay, let's get a young coach to grow with Zion or to grow with Zach LaVine and Kobe White and see what they can do together. Give one of these European coaches or one of these assistant coaches. I think Becky Hammonds of the San Antonio Spurs deserves a head coaching job, for example.
Well, it didn't register to me that Indiana had fired their coach when I read this earlier, but I read that they are actually interested in Mike D'Antoni of the Rockets. He's on his year of contract, and I think that this is going to, the playoffs are going to depend on if he gets an extension or not.
I agree.
So I read that if he does not get extended, that's who the Pacers are looking at.
That is, I could see that happening. If Houston goes deep, they might keep D'Antoni. That'll be an interesting thing to see in the offseason. We saw a Nate to Chicago. We're over time, so we'll probably have to come back to this next week. I think there's been some Tom Thibodeau talk, maybe going back to Chicago. I don't know if that's been finalized. I don't think so. We'll see. I also saw a rumor that the Nets want to try to get Greg Popovich, which I don't see happening.
I read that too, yeah.
That's another thing we can keep our eye on. I think Greg Popovich should retire. Personally, I don't think he should go to another team.
Yeah, it's a dynasty type thing. That's the Spurs are.
Spurs dynasty's over, and I know, he's had a wonderful career, a very long career. I think he deserves a break. Maybe that's how Becky Hammonds gets her coaching job, because I'm all for that.
Be going. That's what I read, is that they think that he's gonna, eventually retire and she'll take over his position. But we are time. Tom went
to the Knicks. That's where the link. Oh yeah, because I saw some rest in peace RJ Barrett's knees. Because Thibs is known for working his players to the ground, playing them super heavy minutes, really hard practices. So we'll see how the Knicks do.
Well, thank you guys for watching with us. We will be back next Thursday, and we will have a lot more playoffs to go over. Hopefully, we'll be in second round of everything.
Yep. All right. Good.